and he'll whap it out in front of the Leicester fans.
Well worth the yellow card, to be fair, isn't that?
I'm not sure what the official rules are doing that. I think it might be more than a yellow. Hello and welcome to the first episode of a new series and a new season of the First4LCFC podcast. Once again, we're going to be looking at the big talking points from Leicester City of the weeks just gone by. And as we've been a little bit lazy and missed the first week, we've got 2 games to cover, so we'll get right into it. 2 games, 2 vastly differing performances in terms of the actual game. One very exciting and one dull as dishwater. But again, I'm joined by Chris and Ed, the other 2 admins at First4LCFC. So, gents, might as well get straight into it. Wolves and Chelsea, are you happy with A, the results, and B, the performances that came with them?
Well, it's good to be back, first of all. I think I remember how to do this. But basically, I think you said it was 2 different performances. I'd go as far as saying it's been, 3 quarters of one performance and a quarter of another. Thankfully, the good quarter came last, so maybe that's where we'll continue. But to be fair, in all honesty, I was on holiday for the Wolves game, so I can't properly talk about that match. But having seen the highlights, it didn't seem the best. But yeah, watched yesterday, and there's a fair few positives to take from it.
Yeah, Ed, would you agree that 2 draws against 2 sides that were likely to be competing with for that fabled Europa League spot, is that a good performance, or do you think we should have wanted more?
Oh, you just took the words from my mouth.
Sorry.
It's all right. So yeah, against your rivals, you obviously want to win, but as we didn't lose, and we could have beaten Chelsea, and some would perhaps argue we should have with some of the chances we had. So given that, and like Chris said with his quarter discussion, the best bit of the first 2 games was the second half. In the second game, you can almost let off a start to the season performance-wise, because not everything is going to be perfect in the first game, but we are improving, and we've got 2 points against 2 teams that we should be in and around by the end of the season. So I think you've got to take that.
Albeit, to be fair, we could also, to play devil's advocate, the slow starts in matches. I'm not going to mention someone's name, but that's not something we haven't seen in a previous season.
Who are you talking about?
I don't know. I forgot his name now, and I'm certainly not advocating that. But I don't know. Maybe it could be slow start to season, still transitioning under Rodgers, but it just be a trait these players have to sort of snap out of, really, because these slow starts we will get punished against better opposition ultimately.
Yeah, I'm sort of hoping that, especially against Chelsea, it was sort of more Chelsea being really fired up for Lampard's first home game. There was a good atmosphere by all accounts at the start. I'm hoping it was more them flying rather than us stuttering. But yeah, it's definitely something that we need to work on. But so I mean, there's definitely positives that we can take though, for sure. I think one player in particular was always going to be scrutinised really heavily, and that was Soyoncu. Obviously, big boots for him to fill. Chris, how do you think he sort of settled into his first 2 proper starts?
I don't think he could have asked for a better start to this season, really. I mean, maybe a bit rusty, just vaguely rusty, but otherwise he seems solid. He seems like he's fitting the mould straight away. I think something we touched upon last season was that he's not getting much game time because he's probably not up to speed. But I don't think there's any question marks around that now. I think he's going to turn into a big player for us. And right now you can't really see what Harry Maguire would have done better than him, can you? I don't think so anyway.
No, and he seems to have that pace that Maguire famously lacks. But Ed, I know you're a big fan of his chant. What do you make of his performances as well?
Well, I was just about to ask you guys about his chant. Like, does anybody know the words and want to share it with the listeners? Or
hey, this is an X Factor. I'm not singing.
but yeah, to be honest, at the end of last season, I said I had no worries about Maguire going because I didn't think he'd go in the first place. So I ended up with a bit of egg on my face there. But once he'd gone, I was a bit concerned about him being replaced because, Soyuncu and Benkovic sort of unknown properties at the Premier League level, but he really has stood up to the plate, and obviously with his song he's becoming a fan's favourite, and he's not really, obviously you're only 2 games in, so we can't read too much into it, but it's certainly a great start, and long may it continue.
Yeah, it's probably everything you'd have wanted to see from him at the start. You know, he's been aggressive, he's quick, he's defended quite intelligently. I think that was something that he was criticised for, was having a lack of composure. But he seems to have started that really well.
The only just reminded me the only question mark I did have, I think, if he's under a slight bit of pressure, I think I remember an instance yesterday where he sort of just sliced it in Fuchs' direction, right up in the air. There was just question marks. I'm not going to compare it to Sol Bamba. That's harsh, but like maybe he just needs.
Sounds like you're comparing him to Sol Bamba.
He needs to compose himself a bit more. But obviously, as a defender, that's probably not something you get raised on. It's more in the modern game. But otherwise, defensively, he's absolutely
Did you that lovely little flick under pressure? Don't know if you've seen the video that's going around on Twitter.
Pulisic.
One of him getting closed down, and he does like a little drag back thing, and then the attacker comes to him again, and he like does a little chip over him. So he does have that ability to be composed. But,
absolutely. Yeah, I'm probably
just early days, I guess. Yeah. Let's not get too excited or too critical, Chris.
He's actually got Leicester's best centre back from last year still at the club next to him. So I think that seems to have helped. Did anyone see Johnny Evans pull off a back heel pass yesterday as well?
I did actually. I did, yeah.
Man, you were winning, by the way. Sorry.
Unbelievable. So we seem to have started the season with a bit of a new shape. It's a shape that we've seen previously. Again, no names mentioned, but it seems to be getting the results a bit more. What, Ed? I know you like to get your tactical cap on. What do you think about Leicester starting the season with 2 sort of defensive-minded players in Ndidi and Chowdhury?
Rodgers out.
Well, I wouldn't do it by choice, but then you got to set the team up in accordance with who you're playing. You know, Wolves last season came 7th, Chelsea came, I don't know, top 6 somewhere. But these are good sides. These are sides you can't go all out attack against, and sort of it'll be interesting to see what we do this weekend against Sheffield United. Like, is Chowdhury going to step out and we'll bring in a more attacking midfielder, or start with, I don't know, Albrighton or Barnes or someone instead?
Interestingly, I don't think we will. You see, I know, Sheff United on paper, it's probably tipped to go down and stuff. But yesterday they were out playing, out muscling Palace. I think we'll probably be sensible to maybe start in the same shape and maybe grow into this one. But who knows?
We did see at times last season, Chowdhury only really played against the big teams that we were, in the league. So he may just be a specialist who plays against like the teams in the top 10, and then against the lesser teams that we can get at a bit more and perhaps less concerned about defensively, we can have another attacking player on.
Yeah. So the other part of that system is obviously with you sacrifice an attacking midfielder. So to compensate for that, Maddison's moved out to the wing, and I know that drew a lot of criticisms by myself included, especially after the first half against Chelsea. Do you think that on the balance, though, Chris, having seen the second half, that he can prove to be effective there?
Well, I haven't seen his heat map, and maybe you have, because I know you like stats, but I'm pretty sure a lot of the time he's ended up drifting into the middle. So I don't think he is suited to playing out wide. Maybe there was just a couple of things that weren't, Vardy's runs, he was going a bit early maybe, or was Maddison leaving it too late. I don't know, we weren't in top gear there. But I don't know, I think Maddison is better suited to playing through the middle, or at least with a lot more sort of freedom like he ended up with yesterday, for me. So I'm not sure, that front structure's 100% spot on just yet.
So what did you make of Maddison's performance as a whole, especially in the second half of the game? Because I know this is something that people have picked up on. And he drew some criticism on Twitter, bizarrely, from Jeremy Clarkson, of all.
I have seen this little exchange. It was a.
And let's be honest, Maddison's absolutely banting him off as well, which I've got a lot of time for. But I just thought that was bizarre because for me, I thought he was one of the best players on the pitch in the second half.
I think he was. Like I said, no way am I criticising him. He was my man in the match. I'm just saying that it's ultimately on paper, if he's playing out left, that's not where he was ending up a lot of the time. So
he did spend a lot of time, sort of like you said, in the middle, and he popped up on the right quite a bit as well, looking at the heat map, as you say it.
But no, I think ultimately he's going to be a key player. I think he already created probably about 3 or 4 chances yesterday, and he's in good stead to beat his 100 created last season. But yeah, like I said, I'm not sure. Maybe Vardy was a bit eager, or Chelsea were playing a bit deeper. I'm not sure, but obviously there was a number of times where we sort of held off playing that final ball because Vardy would have been offside. And then the one time that we did get him behind. Obviously, it's when Maddison rounded the keeper, I believe, and nothing came of that. And other chances for Maddison. Probably his best chance was where he could have either laid it to Vardy or he absolutely smashed it over, didn't he? But we should have definitely won yesterday, I think, and I don't think that would have been an unfair result. I think a draw is probably very, very generous for Chelsea.
The one he's already got his first assist of the season, obviously for Wilfred Ndidi. Ed, were you surprised to see Ndidi come straight in after his exertions in the African Cup of Nations?
No, I think he's our best defensive midfielder. Maybe if we were against lesser teams, you wouldn't mind resting him for a few more weeks. But these are teams, if we were to lose against either of these, we could end up ruining that at the end of the season. Giving them, you don't want to be giving the teams that you're looking to finish around 3 points at the very start of the year, and they already have that lead on you. So perhaps that is part of the thinking, that you don't want to risk. Of course, you're risking injury bringing him back, and he might be exhausted, but I think he had to start.
Yeah, and because I thought he was excellent, bar one moment of madness for the Chelsea goal. But I think what was quite good to see was when he did score his goal, which was a brilliant header. The reaction of the rest of the team, I absolutely love that. Seems to be that Rodgers is building a team with a really good ethos.
Yeah, I think I said to you in our group chat yesterday, obviously in the post-match interview as well on Sky, he was absolutely dejected, and Maddison was there, praising him because ultimately he did still have a solid game, and and I think that is something that Leicester, probably outdo a lot of teams on, his team spirit, and who knows how far that will take us this year because under Rodgers and everything seems to be going in the right direction. So I think team spirit is definitely an underrated trait for the team.
So there's been a lot of positives as well. Carrying on from that, only right to sort of point out some of the more mild negatives. Obviously, Perez is sort of not exactly hit the ground running yet, and has drawn a little bit of criticism. Do you think that's fair, or do you think we're just being a bit jumping the gun a bit with that?
I think. It's difficult, isn't it? Because he had a very good, good pre-season, got a couple of goals, and I think I'd say jumping the gun. I mean, I don't know. Is he? Again, I'd like to see stats on him. How many touches he's had? Is it his fault that he's not getting more touches? Is he being wasteful, or because again, from memory, when he's on the ball, I won't say he's weak or anything. I can't really remember him being involved that much. So he might just be having a quiet start to the season, but it might be a case again of confidence. He gets a competitive goal for us, and he gets firing from there, or he could just turn into like a Adiak Mbaye or something, and go the other way. So who knows?
Ed, not saying you agree with that. Maybe I don't know.
I'm going to say I don't agree with that. But again, I keep saying the same thing, but you need to remember who we played against. He came in to add more goals. It's not necessarily an issue that he's not scoring against two of the better sides like in the league. Is personally, I like to have wingers in my team, and we've not really had them to start the season off. So there's the immediate criticism that with him and Maddison, there's not really that width. But again, we played the difficult teams. Let's see what he can produce against Sheffield United or against is it Bournemouth after that?
Yes.
Someone like that. So
League Cup game in between, I think, Newcastle away. So that could be a great opportunity for him actually to kickstart his season, surely.
Yeah, if he plays, I've got a feeling there'll be a fair bit of rotation because actually, I mean, because Ed, obviously, before we move on too quickly, obviously I want to agree with what you're saying as well. I think it is early, and I think the same can probably be said of Tielemans because, I know he set impeccably high standards at the back end of last year, but he's not quite got going either. But it's too early to criticise either of these guys, surely. But for what it's worth, so the man that Perez has replaced, Demarai Gray. How surprised are you both, Ed, you first? How surprised are you to not see him even make the bench?
I'm not super surprised. Like, so one of the wingers was probably going to get dropped with Perez coming in the team. And I think Barnes has shown since Rodgers has come that he's at least capable and has the potential to be even better. Albrighton offers something a little bit different with his crossing and old school wing, like wide midfielder. And I know Gray's still young and he's still got time to improve, but he really hasn't done it yet at the level that you need to do in the Premier League. So if one of them had to go, I would have been very tempted to have picked him. There's 7 subs. You can't have 3 wingers. I don't think that's really sensible. So,
Chris, what do you make of it, mate?
It's one of them, isn't it? Because he obviously represented the unders for England over the summer, and he wasn't exactly amazing there. So we don't see what he does at training either. Maybe Rodgers just isn't a fan of his. Me personally, when I've seen him play for Leicester and for England, he's not creating enough. I don't think. Is he good enough to be in that team? I don't know. He's probably good enough to be on the bench, but you don't know. Like, there's a lot of things that can be happening, sort of, that we don't see, that Rodgers just isn't a fan of. But that's not to say he won't get back in. He might just be saying, sort of, look, go show me your best in training, and you'll get back into the team. It could be a managerial thing. You don't know. But I don't think he deserved a start in either of the matches. For me.
Yeah, because Rodgers has publicly said, has challenged Gray to sort of, like, as you just said, to show him something different. Because it's always been his end product, hasn't it, that he's criticised for.
Ultimately, he is a winger, so he would. Well, that's the thing. Like, even as a winger, was he creating that many chances? So now that we're playing sort of more narrow, if you like, are we really missing out not having him? Because it's all well and good maybe getting to the byline, but if you're going to be hoofing it to the back post and no one's there, or equally into the near post, you're not adding anything to the game. So, and Rodgers is after a possession style game. Maybe that direct approach just isn't what's on the menu, and he could be leaving in January. You don't know. It could go one or two ways, but yeah, Rodgers likes possession. That doesn't mean wingers, unfortunately.
He's a man that we have criticised before. I mean, I hope he comes good, but I don't know. We'll wait and see what happens on that one. I suppose give it a few games. Another player that we did start to criticise at the end of last year, Chris, I know you were keen to speak about this, was Kasper Schmeichel. Purely his distribution. What do you make of it in the first couple of games? Have you seen an improvement since the summer?
Well, again, you're going to have to guide me on Wolves after this, but from what I seen yesterday, I don't remember him doing any of that dodgy slicing or underplaying or overplaying passes. It's not to say that my heart's not in my mouth when he's on the ball, but every time he did something, again, his pass success rate, talking about stats, it was probably very high. I don't remember him misplacing a pass. So, again, I can imagine that being something he's been working on with a goalkeeping coach or a passing coach or whatever you have in the modern game, and it's got better. But yeah, how was it against Wolves? Because I know you were there, obviously.
Largely the same as Chelsea. I thought it was much improved.
So yeah, I mean, it's obviously something you'd like to think he's worked on, and it is helping us. It beats that first line in between the attack and the midfield, and helps us keep possession, which again, as I keep reiterating, is what Rodgers wants to help us play out the back. And yeah, so far so good.
So it's 2 games where we've had a good amount of possession. One we struggled to do a lot with, and one where, especially in the Wolves game, where they came to defend. I mean, I haven't seen much other than highlights of Sheff United, who we obviously play next at Bramwell Lane. Ed, what I mean, is there anything else you can tell us about Sheffield and sort of the way that they would like to play?
Well, purely from the game I saw against Crystal Palace last weekend, Palace were really bad. It's my first thing to say. Like they really were bad, and that's, any team coming up from the Championship, it doesn't matter whether the opposition are bad or not. A win is a win. A 1-0 win at home, they will take and they will love. And, good on them. Great result for them. But if we don't win that, then I'd be disappointed. I don't feel like they offer, that up front they've got McGoldrick and what's his name? I don't even know. Billy Sharp and a load of other.
On his own, McGoldrick. But now, what I think you will find, if you like, in these hard Brexit teams is, well, something they did with Wilfred Zaha. They stick 2 men on him, don't they? They don't mind kicking him. Traditional football, and that's probably what's going to happen to James Maddison. So what they'll do is they'll try
more room for Tielemans.
Well, yeah, but judging by current form, probably Maddison, maybe, or you don't know how they're going to set up. But yeah, I'm expecting them to thwart, or at least try and thwart our, the ball playing players. So it could be a scrappy game. I think, under 1.5 goals as a betting man. Hopefully 1-0 Leicester.
They did come and have a go at Palace, who were terrible. I don't want to criticise Palace because they somehow pump us 4 or 5-0 every year, and I don't understand how they can, because they were so poor. You're right, they nullified Zaha and then they had nothing. But Red's right, at least we've got other options. But I'd imagine they'll probably come with a similar game plan. Are we willing to put our necks on the line with some predictions here, gents, for the first game?
Yeah, I think I'll say 1-0, but 1 or 2-0 Leicester. I think I don't see them threatening other than from set pieces, but we should probably deal with that with Soyoncu and that. So, win 2-0.
Ed, go on. What are you saying?
3-0 Leicester. They're cack.
We've never got this right when we've been this confident, which is making me a bit.
What about you though, Jamie?
Well, I was hoping I'd get away with that. I think it's an intimidating place to go, but I think if we get an early goal, sort of kill that off a little bit, we will win that game comfortably. But I'll give you 2-0 to Leicester. I'm backing Soyoncu and Evans to run the game again. 2-0.
Soyuncu's going to get a goal.
Well,
I've got a feeling about that, and he'll whap it out in front of the Leicester fans.
Well worth the yellow card, to be fair, isn't it?
I'm not sure what the official rules are doing that. I think it might be more than a yellow, but
go down to VAR and disallow the goal or something.
Yeah.
Oh right, we'll save the VAR chat for another time. I think people are probably bored to death of that already. But in that case, I normally ask you guys if you've got anything else you want to add, because I always forget.
Just one last question, because obviously at the end of the season we gave our predictions, and I think were we all in agreement that we'd finish in the top 6? But having seen how other teams have started, I think I was the leader in saying that. I think Chelsea.
You said Leicester would come 4th.
Well, I did in an article I wrote. I did say 4th, but obviously, Man U is on in the background now, and they are winning. But who knows how that will finish? But I still do think that Chelsea and Arsenal will be the 2 teams to drop. So maybe 4th was optimistic, but it's too early to say. But I'd still say we're good for the top 6, hopefully.
Okay, yeah. So I'll get you to put your neck on line with an actual position as well, both of you. So we're 2 games in, like you said. You've had a bit of chance to have a look at how the state of play is. Ed, where are Leicester going to finish this year?
7th.
Chris?
I'll demote from 4th because that was a bit leery. But no, I think 6th, and we will finish above Chelsea, definitely.
And
Big call.
that is a very, very big call. I want to say 7th as well. I don't know if that's boring, but that's where I think, and I would be happy with that.
It's where the smart money's at, lads.
No, you're a betting man. You heard it here first. Hot tip from Edward Noon. Blame him when it goes wrong. So on that note, I think we'll leave it there. We are going to make this a more regular thing. So if you're still listening with us at this point, thank you, and be sure to check back.
I'm sorry.
Press all of the buttons that you need to get your regular updates, and we'll see you again in just over a week, hopefully with 3 more points.
Good night, goodbye, good day. Whenever you're listening to this, could be good morning, to be fair. So yeah, have a good one.
Say bye, Ed.
Bye, Ed.